Hello, welcome to this is the show and tell portion of I don't know, I like to do a lot of random segments, or you could say like little things, but right now apologize for the location, but we are in the middle of firefly season, lightning bug season, whatever you want to call it. So I am deep in the forest. I've been traveling along the East Coast, deep in the mountains, on the lakes, on the rivers, on the just out in camping country where no humans really dwell. Because if you want to get fireflies, you got to go to the source, or where it's so remote that the only way you could do so is if you brought enough gear. And luckily, like I said, as a fellow Teslian, I think there's obviously better options, but for the most economical, photography-centric mechina, it is serving me well. But we are not really talking about that. Maybe I'll do a show and tell later. Like last night, I only got like 10 or so photos of 900-second exposures, so it's like about 15 minutes. And it did work, but because it didn't rain or anything, but it's also been raining heavily, randomly, thunderstorming, etc. So it's been very active in the sense that like the fireflies are out and about. But if it rains, you can barely get any footage whatsoever. So here I am. Out here trying to take as many photos and videos. When I really look at it online, I did get really good footage of like 20 minutes one night a few weeks ago, because at least in Virginia it started out June 5th or 6th, something like that, for fireflies, at least what I saw to be the first night of fireflies here. And it's just quite difficult to take photos and videos, and it's like seeing online there's not that many videos and photo evidence, even though we all know fireflies exist, and unfortunately it's like disappearing more and more as construction goes on, or more digging up of pollution, as we turn away from the elements and introduce more habitations of for humans. You can't get, but that's essentially what happens, right? So I'm just trying to record as much fireflies, recording their flash lighting patterns, or just seeing the streaks of light, kind of, so I can at least I do have some footage of you could say stock footage. But anyway, we're going to do a show and tell of my recent trip to Pennsylvania. I will call it the title above of this YouTube video. And again, it's not going to be heavily, like a lot of my videos aren't heavily edited. It's just for the sake of like converging the information together, so it's all in one go. So if I don't perfect my thing, sorry about that. But here we go. We are going to be going to record the information, and we're going to use none other than the PDT, due to the 10-bit 422. I love it. The 120 FPS, the best. High frame rate recording is the best, so you can't knock about it. But here we have image number 1, show and tell. It's just a quick, I would say it's like a little segment, but I'm only showing partial, right? I'm not going to show the audience, everyone on YouTube, whoever is watching this video in the first place, whether human or machine. But I recently got these new specs, and I just been loving it. Some thick thick lenses, negative 5, if you know, you know. We got some thick rims, or not thick rims, thick glassware. So, unfortunately you cannot get this in America, at least from my sources that I've looked around. Maybe some people don't deserve the optical amazement that humans have created. So anyway, at least not in America. I don't know about other countries and stuff. I wouldn't divulge where, but shout outs to the spec plug, glasses plug, to my framers out there. But here we have a selfie looking down, and I'm going to go over this like it's a show and tell, like if you had photo class, because I think that's how I like to judge the photo. And I'm doing a self-critique too. It would be more fitting if you had a group of critiques. Who knows, maybe I can critique other photos, but I'm just a small audience that just enjoys taking photos in their free time. So as you can see, my photo, it rained heavily that day in Pennsylvania. Don't know why, but I took a photo. If I were to crop the photo, I would crop it maybe like this, maybe like that, maybe, just because it might be a little more impactful to be a little tight in the shot. If I had my tripod, that was something like that, because I think less is more in this. And from the environmental of the shot, you can see that it's raining, and sometimes you can only get the look from real rain rather than misting of air or whatnot. And my tones are on the greener side. I purposely wanted like that based on the other two photos that I will display. And this is on JPEG Lite, because I was in remote locations up in the mountains where the photos have to be like less than a megabyte. Like you can always edit down, but I think for the sake of like shooting a million shots, for example, you want to keep the data tight, light, and on the right, in the sense of like lighting conditions and information records. So yeah, and I like this photo because it is me. But I think in terms of like, could it be replicated? I think it could, and it's a precursor, and the photo is in this 3-part photo op that it is mainly about. If you were walk into a room and this is the first photo you see, it will give you an impression. You can see like, he's wearing a plaid shirt, dress shirt, or whatever. But you can see that, I hope it evokes emotion with the teary-eyed, the water, because when it rains, it pours, and I wanted to really capture that moment. And then the second photos we see here, we were at an unknown location out in Pennsylvania, and even though you may think, he's just taking a photo of a structure, of some satellites, but I think, unfortunately, this is not on the maps, nor is it records anywhere, and I had to do a big deep dive, and it's like, how is this location even getting 600 megabytes up in or 600 megabytes per second? That's like pretty unheard of in America, because the equipment to even have those data speeds is only available in select countries around the world. America is notably for the 600 megahertz band, or 6 megahertz band. So finding locations such as this, I will take note, because that's very interesting. But yeah, unknown satellites. It's obviously not decommissioned because there's one light fixture allowed. And in my travels, I'm still young, I would say, but in my travels, yeah, that it indicates that the light is on, and I just find it interesting because this is the middle of the mountains. And I don't know if you know this, but in the mountains, it's one of the worst connections in the world. Under the sea, in the mountains, could be one of the most remote locations with low connection. But you see this area nicely pruned. In the mountains, usually it's very mountainous and very wildly, as in like lots and lots of wildflowers and plants. But this looks like it's still well maintained. Grass does not grow on its own. It's funny because I think we started during the nuclear family era when when images of your clean cut lawn grass. So this is just an environmental shot just to paint the picture, because again, this photo series that I made, this 3-part photo, is just to showcase a little bit of my journey. Obviously I'm not going to show the millions of photos I took. Sounds like a waste of time. But I just find it odd that this image does not exist. And then I asked Grok, I asked multiple sources, leveraging AI to explain the mysteries of our world. Hopefully Grok will help me understand the truth, and then I hope AI does that as well, right? That's what we can hope for. And then there's another environmental shot from afar, and as I paint the picture, the music in my random playlists fit the theme of the mood. And I knew that sometimes signal indicators and compasses, they point not always to north, but towards the source of something that, I don't know. As I was taking these photos and on this journey, I felt like I was in like a Scooby-Doo movie, but of course I was solo, so it is what it is. But as you can see, cool satellites, dishes on the ground. And over here you can see that it's all clean cut grass. Because it's kind of unheard of. I'm sorry, but if you don't have zero farm equipment that cuts the grass, it just seems so unheard of, But and then it was a very cloudy day. It rained right after. But yeah, that's essentially the end. And I just want to leave it off of this. The title image is as is. So I hope that you found this show and tell to be informative, entertaining, and whatnot. And yeah, I hope you have a nice day, and Tesla out.